Hey everyone, it's baze.djunkiii transmitting from Hamburg, Germany, back with a new video. And well, it's been a while, a few months actually, since I shot my last Vinyl Talk video. You know, those videos where I pick like a random record or like a not so random record from my collection and tell you a little bit more about it instead of just unboxing or like featuring stuff in my chart hole video. And yeah, I had this video in mind for quite a long time, and this video was sitting like underneath my turntable for quite a while, and then I took it to Portland because it's like a German experimental record I want to talk about, and then I had to cut all the videos and stuff, and now like life has set in again, and a lot of things to do in my life, but still I want to show you this record. And this is one of the most mysterious records, kind of, because I don't know much about it, and most mysterious records obviously sitting in my collection. But the one I'm talking about is this one. Beautiful silkscreen print cover, kind of. Audio-Kollektiv, Musik für dein erstes Rendezvous, which translates to music for your first date, for your first rendezvous. 2 tracks on here. And as you can see, or maybe not because the print is pretty like pixely and stuff, it's released on a label TAD as catalog number 03, and TAD stands for, and now listen closely, Tinkle of Ardent Desire, which is like a fun name, a beautiful name, and actually, as far as I know, this label only has released 3 records overall, according to Discogs, and Discogs also tells me that this one, Music für dein erstes Rendezvous, is limited to 200 hand-numbered copies, and there is the first question mark in here. So I take Discogs as a source for sure, but there is no numbering, no number on here at all, and also not on the record. And the 2 tracks on here are called Märzgedanken and Sprache der Liebe, which is also tricky because März is the month March, but it's written with an R, with 2 dots, the German umlaut R, kind of. And yeah, there's no sign on of like a limitation on here. So here's the label print Audio-Kollektiv Märzgedanken. And on the other hand, on the other side, it does say also für beide Ohren, which is equivalent to for both ears. So it's like a stereo record which plays. This is also not stated on Discogs on 45 RPM, although it looks like a LP, 1-track LP or 2-track LP actually. And yeah, the limitation is a thing that is questionable, but I take this for granted. Also, this kind of inner sleeve is very silky, which is more like a hint of a like older pressing, according to Discogs. I forgot to look this up. It is pressed in 1998, and the label Tinkle of Ardent Desire only has 3 releases out by other artists. No, 2 releases by other artists, but 3 in total, but I haven't heard of any of those. So here it is. A few hints are given about this release, which I acquired via trade with a mail order run by a friend of mine. So as you know, I did some distribution stuff and trading stuff for labels who have like given up operations, and I like took over the backstock, and so I like took care of their records going out to the world, kind of via the record store, and also via trades with this specific mail order. And I sent him stuff, like a lot of stuff, and he sent me a lot of stuff back, and I got 2 copies of this. So beautiful, also like the manga style and stuff. And there are a few hints about this record as well. Here's like a little inlay which does state Audio-Kollektiv, which has like some weirdish text on here, which talks a little bit about the process of making this record in a very weird artistic, we want to be artistic way. So obviously there was like a collective of people involved, hence the name Audio-Kollektiv. And there is like also a 4-track tape machine involved in there, or at least it is mentioned in the text. So, and also like two recording session or one recording session, like a first recording session and stuff. And this is the, and also like a Sleepless Night, which is responsible for the second side. And there is a little like, I don't know, mail order catalog thingy, flyer, DIY thing, which comes from the label with like, the first one is the first release was a cassette actually, the second one as well, and the third is the first 12-inch. And responsible for the label obviously is a guy called Daniel Fuchs from Dresden, which is like a city in the eastern part of Germany. And I know about Leipzig and Jena, which had like a big DIY scene in the mid to late 90s, but I don't know much about Dresden. So, Mr. Daniel Fuchs, if you see this, send me a note, tell me a little more about this release, which is obviously, like the title says, like music for your first rendezvous. And this is like a very special rendezvous actually, because this is no dance music, this is no lovemaking music or whatever. This is actually a thing that is kind of indescribable, kind of. So the first word that comes to mind is collage, because there is snippets of, I guess, like snippets, microsamples, manipulated microsamples, whatever, of what seems to be like original Child's Play record, like Fairy Tales records or whatever. And you know, where people just talk, like audiobooks in vinyl, basically, if you're like from a younger generation. There is a few parts with beats which seem to be sampled and also very hollow and muffled. One side especially, there's like a micro, like 45 seconds of like drum and bass, drill and bass influences, which like disappears again under like a muffled, like deep under the sea bass line recording maybe, or something else. So it's very snippetesque, kind of very collage-esque. Basically a lot of like, if you like electroacoustic music, if you like scanner, like the old ambient scanner, Robbie Rimbaud actually, with records like Mass Observation 3 or something like that, like the big ambient version of this. This is kind of similar. There's some electronica elements, some like, I don't know, seems like they recorded various layers of stuff on top of each other with that 4-track recorder mentioned, like a reel-to-reel 4-track, not like a 4-track cassette thing. And the whole thing is very grotesque, kind of. There is no conceptual approach, kind of. So like the tracks flow, but there is no like beginning, mid part, end or something like that. They just start and stop like after a while, meandering through like various like phases and sound effects, and not really dub effects, but it sounds very hollow and dubbed, kind of in terms of the sound aesthetics. So there's not much of a like clear, sharp high frequency range, but it's more like in the mid range to bass end, very very layered, very random, kind of. There's some ambient parts, so if you ambient DJ Spooky and stuff like rings a bell with you, this is also a record you might like. And another thing that comes to mind is the Place Albert Eiler series, or the Place Albert Eiler, Eckhard Ehler's Place series on the Staubgold label back in the days, which had more of a like jazzy, organic approach, but was also like a big collage layering of things. So if that is your kind of thing, this is a record you might look out for. There's not even a cover on Discogs actually, and only 15 people at this moment have this, according to Discogs actually. So I don't know how rare this is, but it's very obscure, and it is not really possible to trace anything down or track anything down, acquire any information. It is just a weird German like vault of the underground release that is sitting somewhere here. I guess it was not distributed properly at any point, and it seems like to be like a privately run label. I wouldn't say private press, because the private press thing seems a little odd to me, because not any independent label, even if it's small, is like private press. Someone comes out of his basement and like presses like one release and then disappears again. So I'm a little bit at odds with the private press term here, but yeah, super underground, weirdo stuff. I bet somewhere in a basement in Dresden there are still like 30 to 50 copies that never been sold, never saw the light of day, and like are just sitting in some lost box somewhere until the end of eternity, kind of. So I presume that not many of these have been sold ever, and they just have been given away to friends. And the label disappearing after the third release is also a sign for, okay, they maybe lost a lot of money on that thing, and it was just an art collective, audio collective, well, sound collective in this, if you want to translate it properly, and this disbanded, and like someone moved away to another city or whatever, and the whole idea of working as a collective like fell apart, because this happens very, very often in this kind of like artsy musical context. So I don't know much about this release, but still I like it. And Tom Hiron District has heard like a micro snippet of that, because I used this in Portland. I also like this cover, which is like real, really like weird, this picture in the back and stuff. So whatever you make of this, if you can ever find this, you will not be able to sample this online, I guess. So but if you see this for cheap, like for under like €5, for under $5, like maybe for under 10, take it, because it's like an interesting piece of German experimental music history, kind of. Although even like doing a little bit of research, according to the artists, or referring to the artists that have been releasing on the label previously before this one came out, I couldn't find anything. No name, no association popped up. So maybe it's just been an isolated Dresden thing like over 20 years ago. I don't know. I don't have any idea. But still, I wanted to show this to you. Will be linked, or will be like included in my playlist, of course, for the Vinyl Talk things. And if you like this one, if you have any questions, like leave me a comment, leave me thoughts, give me a thumbs up, subscribe. Check all my social media down in the description box, and also like prepare for another record to come from my own label, Intrauterin Recordings, which is kind of scheduled for late November right now. I don't have it here in my place, but I presume I will get this in a bit, so, and pick this up from the pressing plant and stuff. So new stuff is coming, and will be interesting and danceable actually. So yeah, like, subscribe. I'm getting into ramble mode, but I gotta edit this, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. See you later.